So it has been an intensive weekend of Championship football, but today I'm going to review 10 things I've learned from this week of the Championship. This is not technically what we learn. Well, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't at the same time. It's a new video idea. What I'm going to go through, I've got 10 things I've written down here about things that I've learned in this short space of time. We've already had 12 Championship games all played in this weekend. So it's given me time to reflect on, what have we learned. Not all 24 teams are going to be included, obviously, but I've tried to include as many of them as I can. So any further ado, let's go to number 10. So on number 10, on the top 10 things that I've learned from this weekend, is that Birmingham have cracked it at home. Birmingham against Middlesbrough, I thought were absolutely terrific. They didn't really allow Middlesbrough to be in the game too much, and they were deserved winners for what I saw in the highlights. If you looked at the balance of play, and I think Birmingham also hit the bar as well, I think you'd say that Birmingham deserved it. So in terms of cracking it at home, I think Birmingham are going to be a team that's going to be strong at home, be really, really tough to beat, but whether they can match that with their away record, we'll have to wait and see. But if they can get that with their away record as well, I think they can have a really good chance to have a really good statement this season. They could even finish in the top 6, which sounds a little bit optimistic. They're only 4 points behind the playoffs, so crazier things have happened in the Championship, as I'm going to discuss later on. So number 9 on the top 10 things that I've learned is that Charlton play with heart. I think this is the first time I've actually seen Charlton in a live game. I watched the whole 90 minutes against Fulham. Wow, I was so impressed with Charlton. And it's not only with their play and the fact they don't have many chances in the game. I can see why they don't. They operate in a very unique way. But what really, really impressed me is that every one of those Charlton players played 100%. Whenever Fulham got the ball, which they do like to do, they play possession football, about 2 or 3 Charlton players went charging for the ball, and 9 times out of 10, they won it back and had a brief spell of possession and trying to get the ball forward. It rewarded Charlton since they managed to take the lead twice against Fulham. However, Fulham did peg them back twice, and one player that was incredible was Didion Phillips. I could have swore he could have saved anything. He saved a point-blank header from Mitrovic. Unfortunately, that's how the goal came about because the defenders failed to clear it. But he had a terrific performance, and I think he's one of those players that really stepped up to the Championship. Conor Gallagher scoring, which I'm really, really happy to see, having seen a little bit of him in Chelsea as well. I'm glad he's gained his chance. This team, I think, if they can continue to play like that in every single game, because who knows, they've probably not played to their 100%, which has resulted in a couple of losses recently. But if they can, and they can improve their away record, but also make themselves really tough to beat at home, like Birmingham, Charlton could have a really strong chance. Charlton have recently dropped out of the top 6 recently because of their 3 defeats in 6. However, they're only 2 points behind Bristol City that occupy the final playoff place. So they could have a really, really good season if they continue this on, but they cannot allow any form to drop. And what that showed me is that even though that they've had a few defeats recently, they've still got heart to try and play for the result, which I'm really, really pleased about. So number 8 on the top 10 things that I've learned is that Barnsley need to restart now. Barnsley put a very, very shocking display against Preston. Barely threatened Preston in a way, and Preston were really, really comfortable. Barnsley scored with pretty much their only chance in that whole entire game. And what disappointed me is that I thought Barnsley got a really good goal out of nothing. They went into half-time 1-1, and Stendhal could have set up his side to really, really go for this game and to really try and nick all 3 points away from home against Preston. Because I'll give them in a really good position during the international break, but they completely capitulated. Defensively, they need to restart. I get what Stendhal's doing and I like it. He's trying to make a really, really young team, but at the same time, you need those experienced players to give them the authority and to give them a really strong mindset. They seem to give up too easily, which is why I'm a little bit worried about them in the moment. They have dropped down to 23rd because some teams below them have managed to pick up some points this weekend. But having said that, I think Barnsley do have the quality to stay up, but it's just whether that they can get results on a consistent basis. So number 7 on the top 10 things I've learned is that Huddersfield season starts now. I can't even remember the last time Huddersfield scored 3 at home. I genuinely cannot remember the last time Huddersfield scored 3 at home. I don't even know if they scored 3 at home in the Premier League. I know they scored 4 goals a couple of times in the Premier League, but I swear both of those occasions were actually away from home. At home, they've managed to get their first home win, I think, since February last year, which would not have felt good for Huddersfield fans at all. In terms of the game overall, I have watched it back. It wasn't the best game in terms of quality. It really took the first goal to really get the game going. And I think as soon as Huddersfield scored their first, they always looked like scoring, and Hull just basically weren't in the game at all. I think they undermined Huddersfield too much, which was not good on their part. But on Huddersfield, however, on Cowley, I am seeing progress. I am seeing more potential of this squad scoring goals, because my original concerns that they weren't going to score enough goals. But right now, they look like that they can score more goals. Bakuna has really impressed me as well since Cowley's arrival. So yeah, on number 7, I think Huddersfield's season is going to start now. They're probably going to finish in the mid-table, or could potentially still be in a relegation scrap. But this is the start that Huddersfield needed and have waited for. It took them 11 games, which could ultimately hurt their chances of achieving their potential. But at the same time, it's good to get it now rather than later. So number 6 on the top 10 things that I've learned is that Reading are really struggling at the moment. Now, albeit they are facing a really good Bristol City side away from home, they only lost by 1-0, and Reading did press Bristol City at times. But what was their problem is just they've not looked like scoring. It's almost like they've caught Huddersfield's bug. But they can play well at times, but they just cannot get the ball through the net, and that is going to need to be addressed during this international break. Players will need to be up in their game. Javi has been a little bit quiet recently. I think the absence of Swift being suspended is going to really hurt Reading at the moment, because there's going to be less creativity in their midfield and drive going forward. But having said that, they need to be prepared for those situations. They have fallen into the relegation zone following their poor run of form recently. It's going to be very interesting how they recover after the international break. If they can start off from the international break with a win, I'd say Reading can really restart their car and start driving around the table again. But if not, they could really stall, and they could plummet down into the relegation zone. I hope this is not the case, because Reading squad does have potential. One of the best Reading squads I've seen for quite some time. They just need to get results on the pitch. So number 5 on the top 10 things I've learned is that Preston North End look the real deal at home. Wow, I'd never thought anyone would be saying that by this time last year. They were 24th, last place last year, just on 6 points. But wow, haven't Preston turned it around? I have no idea what has happened to them. Don't know what Alex Neil has done to get these players going from last season. They look unstoppable at home. Look what they did to Barnsley. They dispatched 4 goals in that second half. They were completely ruthless, like a Manchester City team would be when they are in complete control. DJ got 2 goals. He's been probably their best players so far this season. Even Ben Pearson scored. I mean, that is just crazy. Harrop scored as well. And overall, it was a near perfect performance. It probably would have been a perfect performance if they kept a clean sheet. They'd be a bit disappointed on that. They do need to improve on their zonal marking and set piece play. However, having said that, they have got a lot more goals in them this season. Last year, they were really struggling to score. But it seems like they've fixed that now. So if they could just improve defensively, they could be having a really fun time this season. They are firmly in the playoffs right now, pushing even for automatics. What they need now is that they need to keep this streak going, because they've got a lot of momentum. It'll be interesting if they do lose that momentum. Will they able to recover? I have a feeling that they will, but for me, I'm really enjoying seeing this Preston team play. Probably the best Preston team I've seen in the Championship for quite some time as well. So I hope that they continue their form. So number 4 in the top 10 things that I've learned, which I think everyone's been screaming out for a while. Leeds need a goal scorer. Now, that's probably a little bit harsh for me to say, but Leeds, so far this season, have struggled for goals. Defensively, they've looked okay. They seem to have fixed that a little bit, although it wasn't a really good defensive display yesterday against Millwall. But having said that, they have improved defensively. But what they need now is an out-to-out goal scorer or striker that can give them 20 or 30 goals this season, because right now it doesn't look like they have that. Now the thing is with Leeds' play, it's fantastic to watch, brilliant possession type football, very, very positive, very, very high. But the thing is, if they lack the tempo and if they don't have the fitness to sustain Marcelo Bielsa's style of football, it's going to allow the opposition to sit deep, and that will ultimately frustrate Leeds. And I think that's exactly what happened. Berardi as well, I mean, how he's still got a chance, I have no idea. He's had 8 red cards now for Leeds. And if you're going to play against Millwall, you are going to easily lose your head, because they are a really tough physical side. But yeah, if anything's going to stop Leeds from getting promoted, it's going to be the fact that they don't have a proper goal scorer. They are still in the playoffs because they've had a fantastic start in the league. They have stalled a little bit, but what they need to do now is to regain momentum, restart, and score plenty of goals for fun. I think once Pablo Hernandez is going to be back to full fitness, I think they'll be okay. But right now, they need to have a plan B and to have other ideas to score. So number 3 on this list, which probably may be a bit of a harsh statement, Simon Sluga shouldn't be a goalkeeper. Wow, I mean, I am very sorry if I have offended any Luton fans or Simon Sluga, but what display I saw against Darby was mind-boggling. Because so far, Simon Sluga has had a few clangers here and there, but at times he's looked okay. But I think he's got to face it, and I think he knows himself. He's had a bit of a mare in this game. I mean, the first goal was probably the worst goal you'd ever see concede. It gives me flashbacks of the Croatia goal against England in the Euros back in 2007, I think. Yeah, it's not a great goal to concede. The second goal as well was a fantastic goal from the recently charged Tom Lawrence. Having said that though, I think if Sluga had improved his position, he probably could have kept it out, but at the same time, that's probably a little bit harder for him to keep out. Luton, however, they got to really be careful. They play with positivity, but they need to try and pose a big threat going forward. And even though Darby did win, they don't look like the old Darby. They play a lot more slower, and they're almost grinding out results, as it seems. And they've got a little bit of luck going their way, it seems. But they are undefeated in 5 and are climbing up the table slowly. I mean, they're 13th at the moment, but only 5 points off the playoffs. So actually, they probably could have a really good chance if they can continue their good form. But having said that, if you look at the play, it's not convincing. But if it works for Darby, then keep it. So we've reached the final 2 points. So I'm going to go to number 2 first. West Brom are the favourites to win the league, in my opinion. After their terrific game against Cardiff and other promotion rivals just simply not winning, it gives me an idea that Slaven Bilic is going to set his team out to win every single game. And that's why they've only lost once this season. That's why they've scored plenty of goals. Yes, defensively, I think they still need to improve in a few areas. Cardiff did look like they could go back in the game. In fact, Cardiff, I think this was their best away performance that I've seen them so far. But West Brom, however, they've got so many attacking players, it's actually scary. You've got Pereira scoring goals, Diangana scoring goals. Charlie Austin has, I think, finally set his mark as well. I really like the look of this West Brom side. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for them. They have made a little bit of ground. They're tied on points with Swansea at the moment. But it was going to be very interesting to see how they respond to their 1-0 defeat against Leeds. Because you could arguably say they didn't deserve to lose. They would have deserved to draw. But they have responded fantastically well. So for me, West Brom are the favourites to get promoted. So number 1, the top point that I have learned from this weekend is that you just cannot predict the Championship. Every week I do my fixture predictions of the Championship. Got 0 right this week. Now that doesn't normally happen actually. It's quite rare for me to get 0 right at all. I've got quite a few correct results, but overall you really just cannot predict it. I mean, how many people predicted that Millwall were going to beat Leeds? How many people predicted that Stoke, 24th place Stoke, were going to get an away victory against first place Swansea? I don't think anyone gave Stoke a chance. Who would have thought that Huddersfield not only would score 3 goals, but keep a clean sheet against Hull? I don't think anyone gave Huddersfield a chance in that game either. Not many people gave Charlton a chance to get a draw against Fulham as well, who've looked fantastic at home as well. I mean, so far in this league, it's just so unpredictable. And once again, who would have known that Preston were going to smash Barnsley like that? Preston don't normally blow teams away like that. Yeah, it's fair to say from the start of the season, this has been a turbulent championship season, a very unpredictable one, but that is why we love it. That is why we love the championship, of its unpredictability. So I'm going to quickly go through the table. West Brom and Nottingham Forest make up the promotion places, both on 22 points. Who would have known that Nottingham Forest would be in the promotion place at this time? You've got Preston, only 1 point behind automatics. You've got Swansea just dropping a little bit from their loss against Stoke. You've got Leeds and Bristol City making up the rest of the playoffs. Only 2 points separate them, so any weekend could really change the top 6 of the table. Down below, you've got Fulham, Sheffield Wednesday, Queen's Park Rangers, only 1 point outside the playoffs. But then you've got Charlton, who are only 2 points behind the playoffs, and this is all the way at 10th. You've got Birmingham, which is probably the first gap, you would say, from the promotion teams. However, they are only 4 points behind. They need a good run of form and they can be well in the mix. Along with 16 points, you've got Cardiff as well, who have done really well. I think they've recovered a little bit from their really slow start in the league. Darby have made a bit of ground there, got 15 points at the moment. Could they make it to the playoffs? Probably, but I don't see it in my opinion. You've got Blackburn and Millwall, both on 14. I think Millwall have recovered tremendously. And Blackburn, it's been a bit of an inconsistent run of form for them. I think they'll be around mid-table like they normally finish. Hull, 13 points. I mean, once again, inconsistent form. Yeah, they'll finish mid-table. I can't see them getting relegated. Brentford, 12. Yeah, that's a bit disappointing, I think, in my opinion, especially on their standards. Luton and Wigan on 11. So Wigan and Luton are officially tied on points. I think it'll be very close. I think that they'll both be involved in the relegation scrap. Middlesbrough on 10. I think that is probably one of the biggest shocks at the moment. Middlesbrough on 10. But I think more importantly, look at Huddersfield. They are outside of the bottom 3 for the first time this season. Unbelievable scenes there. You've got Reading, who have dropped into the relegation zone. Barnsley have stayed down there. Pressure's going to be mounting for them. And Stoke, with their first win, they're on 5 and only 3 points needed to get out of the relegation zone. So arguably, this is going to be such a competitive season. It's going to be a close season. I love it. I really cannot predict what's going to happen by the time May comes, but right now, if it's going to be this exciting for this whole way through, I'm going to be a very happy man. But that is what I learned about match day 11 of the championship. If you like this video idea, please give the video a like, a share and a subscribe. All of that will be tremendously appreciated and it will give me a good indication that you like this series. Let me know in the comments down below, what did you think of your team's performance of the weekend? What was the result of the weekend? I think for me, it would have to be Stoke getting an away victory against Swansea. No one gave Stoke a chance, and they took their chance. With a goal of the weekend's difficult, there's a few nominees for us. I'm going to personally give it to Ivan Cavallero for the power of this shot. He's already scored a couple of top corner goals already, but this was one that Dillian Phillips, even he couldn't keep out. So I'm going to give my goal of the weekend to Ivan Cavallero. In terms of the player of the weekend, it's a little bit difficult, I think, in my opinion. I'm going to give it to Ben Watson for Nottingham Forest. Captain of Nottingham Forest, he has continued Nottingham Forest's tremendous unbeaten run. He's already scored a lot of key goals for Forest this season. I think he's a little bit underrated, I'd say, in my opinion, and I think he deserves a bit of recognition. He's gotten Forest into the automatic promotion place at the moment, so I'm going to give my player for weekend to Ben Watson. But that will wrap it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you see, as I said before, please give the video a like, a share, and a subscribe. All of that will be tremendously appreciated. It is an international break now, which really sucks. However, it'll give me a time to have a bit of a break from my YouTube schedule, and it'll give me a time to get through my uni life, which I think will suit me. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of the video. And as always, to conclude this turbulent weekend of championship football, take care.